Hi guys, we're back. First of all, I'd just like to start by thanking those who have already subscribed to our channel. I hope you are enjoying the content of the videos we're doing so far. It is early days yet, and I'm still trying to find my feet with YouTube and subjects for, upcoming videos. But I'm sure as I get further in and further down the line, I will get better at it. Is hoping anyway, fingers crossed. So I thought I'd take the opportunity today to talk about guide dogs, mainly how guide dogs start on their journey, and delve a little bit into the process of applying for a guide dog. So here it goes. Let's hope my memory holds out. So first of all, I'd just like to say guide dogs are absolutely amazing. They've been so fantastic. And it's not just a case of you get your dog and they don't want anything to do with you. You know, you are kept an eye on, and they're on the other end of the phone if you have a problem. And of course, the dog's welfare is paramount. Now, guide dogs don't come cheap. They cost over £60,000 from birth to retirement. So, you know, that is a lot of money. But they are priceless. Like I've said in other videos, I know I keep saying it, but they are priceless. So, the puppies are born to a brood bitch holder. Venus's mummy. It's a beautiful, I think she was a golden retriever. My daddy was black lab. Venus's black lab retriever. So they stay with their mummy and the siblings until they are, I think it's 6 weeks old. And then they are moved on. And they are cared for eventually by volunteer mummy and daddy, the volunteer puppy walkers. Now bear in mind, they don't get paid for this job. It's done out of the kindness of their own heart and the love of the dogs. And then at the end of it, they don't get to keep these dogs. They have to hand them over. And I shouldn't say this because I have a guide dog, and without these people, I wouldn't have Venus. They're angels, basically. I couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. I'd be in floods of tears. They have all this hard work of sort of training these pups to go outside to the toilet, to feed on whistle command, which is, I'll go into that further in maybe into future videos. I'll do a video of how I feed Venus. You know, everything. They take them to puppy classes. They basically, while they are with the puppy walkers, learn the foundations, the basics, to further them on in their journey as hopefully a life changer. So I think it's important that you stay in touch with puppy walker, or Venus's mummy and daddy, as I like to call them, because basically that's what they were for the first, 12, 13, 14 months of the pup's life. They are all they know. So I think it's important. I really do think it's important that you do stay in touch. So they stay with their mummy and daddy till roughly a year to 14 months old. And then they move on to big school. And that's where then the big lessons start. That's when they are introduced to a harness. Now, this is when some docs can decide that it's not for them. A career as a guide dog is not for them because they just can't take to wearing harness. I know there is different harnesses and different things they can do to try and desensitize them from the harness, but if they really can't get, they won't get forced to do something they don't want to do. But yeah, this is where they do, you're stopping at curbs, crossing roads, all that. It's basically learning to walk in the harness. So I know I'm missing big chunks out here, but if I went through the whole lot, I'd be here all night. So in depth. So yeah, and then they are moved on after that to a local mobility team, and this is where they then get matched with a guide dog owner. I was very lucky, like I've said in previous videos. 6 years ago, I was only waiting for 7 months, so I was very lucky. But what happens, I will go into the matching process now. You have numerous visits from guide dogs. It's not just a case of you apply for a guide dog and then they hand the dog over to you. It's basically like a dating agency for guide dogs. And that sounds weird, but that's what it's like. So the very first visit you have, that's not Venus, that's another dog somewhere. That's not Venus barking. Venus doesn't bark. So the first visit you have is sort of discuss things that you love to do, places you like to go, all that kind of stuff. You have to discuss any medical issues you have, any other disabilities, how many routes you know, and various things like that. Do you use a cane? I was asked if I use a cane because you've got to know your routes so that you can teach the dog the routes, because your dog can't just come into your home environment or home where you live, surrounding areas, and know where they're going, because it's just not going to happen. You've got to teach your dog those routes. So yeah, all that's discussed, and it's also discussed if you have any preference for a dog. So whether you want a lab, whether you want a retriever, whether you want a lab retriever, what colour dog you would like, if you want German Shepherd, or that kind of thing. So in my case, because of my other illness, I couldn't have a fast-paced dog. So because some days I might be okay and other days I might be not feeling great and be walking extremely slow. So it's better to have a slower paced dog for me than one that's going to walk really, really fast, and on days I'm struggling, it's just not going to work. So yeah, it was, I didn't need a quick paced dog. I'm not very tall, so I wouldn't need a big dog. So all that is taken into account. It's your height, your weight. If you're only little and you can't have a big dog. So the pace you walk, and also where you live. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily need a guide dog that perhaps someone in London would need. That's a busy, hectic, manic city. So there's all that has to be taken into consideration. So after that, there is another visit, a second visit. And if this visit went well, that was when I would go on the waiting list for a guide dog. So the second visit is what I call, and what is known by a few people as the walk of shame. It's not as bad as it sounds. Certainly when I think about it now, it's not. But what that essentially is your guide dog's harness. You've got the harness that goes on the dog, and then you've got the handle. So basically on one end is you holding, well not holding, but the handle resting on your fingers. The other end, there's no dog. There's no guide dog. That's the guide dog GDMI or guide dog trainer on the other end. And you have to go outside and you have to walk around the block with the trainer on the other end of the guide dog harness. Now this has got to be done. This is an important part because they've got to ascertain that you can feel the movement of the harness, because it's that your dog is guiding you, not the other way around. You've got to be able to feel that harness moving. So the member of staff from Guide Dogs, the mobility instructor, would weave about as if there were a guide dog on the other end of the harness, moving you in and out of obstructions and round bins and things like that. So that is definitely needed. So then, if it's, if all goes well and you seem to be following the movement nicely and are able to, then that is when you will go onto the list. And that is the exciting time. And I was absolutely over the moon. So let's talk what happens after that then.